do. We identify and analyse, communicate trends, opportunities, export markets. We supply contacts in market. We'll identify and resolve market access barriers. Obviously that's very much with Department of Ag leading. However, the in-transit cold infestation that the protocols that are available for the Philippines now, we had a large hand to play in that, and it wouldn't have happened without us. And I'll show you some data in a minute. I'm not going to get by PowerPoint, but there are some good examples there of where we've gained access, and with effort in market, we can grow that market share. Connecting Victorian exporters with overseas buyers, so things like trade missions, outward bound trade missions. If Claire and John were to come to us with proposals for a group of APAL and Pear exporters that were looking to gain some insight into markets, into specific markets, we would certainly look at that, and we'd set up the program. We sometimes partner with Austrade, sometimes don't, sometimes work with their own VGBOs in Victorian government business offices in market to set up programs, and they're usually really, really good. One, for meeting the companies, two, for seeing what your competitors are doing, so that you understand what's required in market. And the whole education networking process we find is a critical step for helping the export process. And the third, final tier to our group's work is we're looking at inward investment. I won't belabor that, but our group, as I say, we've grown significantly in the last year or so, and we've actively targeted folk of Asian descent, language skills, people that have good cultural awareness in market, and a whole range of things from Thai, Vietnamese, all the rest of it there. Okay, they're the people we partner with. I don't want to spend too much time on that. These sorts of figures I dare say you've seen before, but Asia is where it's at for me, for Australian products. For a start, the Asian markets are willing to pay, and increasingly so on their disposable income, which I'll just quickly touch on here. Indonesia, I went to a conference last week, Australia-Indonesia Business Council. The room in the atmosphere in the room was buoyant. People are busting at the seams, particularly in Indonesia, about the Indonesia-Australia relationship. But you look at their consumer confidence there. Australia sits on about 100 for control there, but Indonesians are way more confident about consuming. I'm putting up these figures here because mean versus household expenditure is growing. And the rise of the middle class there, the middle class argument is usually around $100 or something a week US or a year that you've got to spend. I actually like this one too, that they own a TV, a refrigerator and a car or a motorcycle. That's middle class, and that's growing, and particularly the refrigerator is a huge step. If they've got that in home, then they really have got some income coming in, and some to spend, more importantly. So just some facts and figures. Victoria, as we know, we punch way above our weight for 3% of the land mass, 35% of production of food comes from here, and in some sectors, 80–90% of exports come from here. Things like dairy, we produce 65%, but 85% of our production goes to export. Similar things with table grapes. I think we can do the same sorts of things with pears in particular, and probably apples too, once we start growing the right varieties for Asia. We can grow that share back up to, I think it's the 10% target that Claire or John mentioned. I'm confident that's a no-brainer for me. It just means effort in market. And Southeast Asia there, you can see that my piece of the planet, Indonesia's gone up to 571 million. That's with about a 300 million odd drop in grains in that year because of a lot of reasons why that Indonesia's actual import of grains from Australia went down a lot and from Victoria, but the whole import from Victoria still went up. So a very important market. The markets of the Philippines, I'll touch on in a minute. Philippines, Vietnam, Thailand. They are Victorian horticulture exports to Vietnam. You can see it's all grapes, basically, and home fruit is not much. It's this one here. So we're starting from a really low base, and it's a common story across these three markets that I'll look at. Thailand, similar. I don't know what happened in 12-13. That was when it was open, was it? What's going on there? Philippines, low as well. However, in the Philippines in 2012, we got new cold infestation protocols. Philippines also is a signatory to ANSFTA, so we have very low tariff rates going in there. Export, an example I'll look at here is the citrus story. Earlier this year, the Victorian taxpayer, through my project, invested some money with Austrade for a Australia Fair promotion. Results were quite good. It established a model with Austrade up there that they could work with the retailers to promote Victorian products. As part of the Food and Beverage Trade Week, which we've been conducting every year for the last 2 years, and hopefully will again next year, in March we brought a whole lot of Southeast Asian and Asian importers down to Victoria to have a look at our crops down here and other food products. We took them from Mildura, where they saw table grapes, citrus, to Swan Hill region, where they saw stone fruit primarily, down to here, where they saw apples and pears. There was interest in apples and pears, but while they were up in Mildura, Austrade approached Citrus Australia with a proposal, which Citrus Australia took up, which is great, for promotion in the Philippines. And I'll just explain to you here how it went. Citrus Australia's promotional material probably wasn't quite up to scratch. So up in the Philippines, they worked up this collateral, sweet, safe and healthy, and ran this promotion for, I think it was over a month, complete with high profile launch by ambassadors and a lot of food service and food retail decision makers. Multimedia, so they're big on social media up there. They worked that over really hard and with great results. Television, print media, and these results here are actually only partially of the way through the year. It was more like a 300% increase in sales over just on the back of this one retail promotion. Given that South Africa is also entering the market now for citrus, they're stunning results that came from one little promotional effort. And I haven't described the stuff we did with pears in Indonesia because I know Claire's already spoken about that. So similar results can be expected from more work in these markets. I will say though, there on the top right, that they are Australian pears, and they don't look particularly appealing to me, especially when you put them against the South African stuff that in the same market.
Just for the citrus background, Philippines is a cost-grade market.
Yeah.
It's not a first-grade market. They will not pay what you want for the first-grade fruit. So that's probably a reason why you've got that type of quality sitting on that shelf.
No, that's pears.
Yeah,
so
that's a cost.
Brendan, where was that one? The one on the...
I think that's repair, so it's
Indonesia.
Indonesia. I think it's
Sorry, mate. I'm just saying. Philippines, I definitely know it's a composite grade market.
They're cheap, Tony. They're cheap, but they do have a sector of that market that's accepting top grade stuff.
You need it in every crop, and you need every market that you get.
Oh, exactly.
There will be a component you will send there.
I couldn't agree more.
And I couldn't agree more. But if you've got better paying markets with first grade fruit, you don't send that to a country like the Philippines.
Yeah. And yet some of that stuff that was on the shelf there was pretty good quality fruit. I agree. I couldn't agree more that you can't send all A-grade fruit.
Yeah.
You've got to have somewhere for your composite grade. But it's still got to be reasonable quality composite. If it's small or something like that, you know, small cherries go into Indonesia at the moment. They love them. Small cherries in other markets just won't sell. They want something beside them.
With Indonesia, is there a quota system still there?
No,
Not for cherries. And what about pine fruit?
Not all pears, pears and apples.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm not banging the drum only on Indonesia. I think the actual bang for buck probably is best bet in Indonesia, but Philippines is certainly the good.
I think what you're doing is great because every country will have a unique buying set, and the grower can't grow one specific grade.
No.
You'll grow a range of grades, and if you've got more markets where you can send everything and sell everything, it's fantastic. So
So Southeast Asia is one. What everyone, personally, I suffer from the flyover effect in Southeast Asia. People all wanting to go to China with their product. And I fully understand why. China's paying, and it is the elephant in the room. It's a huge market. But Southeast Asia for different grades, for different qualities, but we can't pitch at that commodity level. Maybe citrus or wine, but because we're reasonable sized producers, but the other stuff we're small on the world scale. We've definitely got to find our niche, and it's got to be in the top 20%. Couldn't agree more with the composite grade stuff. What I never ever want to see again though is stuff that's come off the market floor, particularly in apples that I'm aware of that doesn't meet pink lady apples that are greener than Granny Smith's. Like they're terrible quality in the best store in Indonesia. You know, that's got to stop. I don't know how as an industry we address that, but that's got to stop. That does hurt us. It's Australia, it becomes known as. I think our chain itself needs some work. Our supply has got to be good. We've got to supply quality product into market. These guys will accept, as Tony's saying, the fruit of variable, the composite grade as well as the A-grade. A lot of the just smaller fruit doesn't hurt them at all. They quite like that because they can get more versus per kilo. So basically that's it from me. Didn't want to say much more except that the offer is there. We're really keen to keep working with APAL and industry in market. And if there's interest in looking in markets, then we can work with you on that too.
Thanks. Any questions?
You're all looking really fit people, not used to sitting down in a room listening to talking heads. So, as on last, any questions you have as we're going through, just raise your hand and cut me off midstream, and I'm more than happy to answer it. I'm sure we've got the horsepower in the room to answer any questions we have. Yeah, I work in Southeast Asia across the big six plus the extra three, so that's Indonesia, Singapore, Malaysia, Thailand, Vietnam, Philippines. Looking closely now at Myanmar, Cambodia and Laos. Myanmar is the major cab off the rank at the moment, it's really emerging. And one more, Burma. Top of Malaysia, right beside. Anyway, so diverse markets, but markets that should be of interest outside China, obviously, Tony, US, EU are big markets, but Southeast Asia is a market where we've